getting into the subject right away, the Alps are extremely sensitive to climate change. The warming in the Alps over the last century was about 2 degrees centigrade for the nighttime temperatures and a bit less for the daytime temperatures. Since the mid-1980s, the warming in the Alps has been about 3 times the global average, and higher elevations are particularly sensitive. Looking into the future, more rising temperatures are projected for the Alps, but in addition to the rising temperatures, other projections for climate change include increase in winter precipitation and a significant decline in summer precipitation. And these are also some changes which might have implications for adaptation in different sectors. So the altitude for natural snow reliability is lower for colder regions, example in the Eastern Alps in Eastern Austria, and higher for warmer regions, example closer to the Mediterranean fringe. Now, these altitudes for snow reliability would climb as temperatures increase. And we have looked at 3 scenarios for the future: a temperature increase of 1 degree centigrade, 2 degrees centigrade, and 4 degrees centigrade. These are the results for the countries we looked at. They are normalized in the sense that we started 100% for each of the countries, just to give you a comparative dimension. Germany is clearly the most vulnerable to rising temperatures. Even a 1 degree rise in temperature would lead to a 60% reduction in the number of ski areas which are snow reliable. A 2 degrees rise in temperature would lead to an 80% drop, and there won't be much of the ski industry if you go up to 4 degrees centigrade. On the other hand, Switzerland is the least vulnerable. A 1 degree temperature would still leave 90% of the ski areas that we looked at snow reliable. One must note that we only looked at the alpine ski areas, so we didn't look at the Jura, for example, where you have a number of low-lying ski areas. And even if temperatures were to rise up to 4 degrees centigrade, about half of the ski areas that we looked at in Switzerland would be reliable. France and Italy and Austria are in between these 2 extremes, and the thick bold line that you see is the alpine average. But much more interesting than this normalized picture, what it doesn't tell us is how does the reliability vary within these countries, and what is the size of the industry in different parts of these countries. So for this, what we looked at was a much more detailed regional picture. We looked at the level of departments in France, at the level of cantons in Switzerland, the Bundesländer in Austria, and so on. And what this chart shows you is a composite picture. The first vertical bar is the total number of ski areas in these regions. The second bar is the number of regions which are snow reliable under present conditions. The third bar is the number which would be reliable under +1 degree centigrade. Then the next one is +2, and the last one is +4. And immediately the picture that strikes you is, first of all, obviously there's a decline in snow reliability as temperatures rise. That's not a surprise. What is a surprise is how different the vulnerability of different regions is. So rising temperatures, and we're looking at up to 4 degrees centigrade, which would, under many projections, span the course of this entire century. So climate change does not mean doom and gloom for the ski industry as a whole. We will be skiing in 2100. Maybe most of us would be skiing just in Graubünden. The graph shows basically the increase in the number of ski stations with snowmaking equipment from 1979 all the way to 2004, 2005. There were about 10 stations in 1979 and about 180 stations in 2004, 2005, and other numbers for the area covered in snowmaking and the installed power. Other adaptations, I'm being flippant here, I'm calling it adaptation a la Christo, but the technical term is active glacier protection, where white plastic sheets are used to cover parts of glaciers so that the loss in glacier mass during the summer months is not as significant. It's shown to be cost effective under current conditions, but if you look at climate change projections, 75% of glaciers in Switzerland are projected to vanish by 2050, and white plastic sheets are not going to protect that. The tourism industry, governments, and civil society also need to collectively focus more on how to facilitate sustainable transition and avoid maladaptation. It's important to avoid efforts and policies which support status quo. And what is more important is to develop transitional policies that might help the tourism sector adjust to a new climate.